Relationship advice. Updated. Boyfriend, 28 mil, found out how much money I, 28 female, have. He wants me to pay off for a house for us, as well as a new car, and fund a trip for him to go abroad. Should I end it? Original post. I wanted to make it clear that I've always spent money on my boyfriend, buying him nice things and whatnot. He got his PS4 and new gaming PC because of me. My boyfriend, however, found out that I have a good amount of money and has started to be quite weird about it. Several times, he's referred to my money as our money, and using our money to buy him the luxury car he's dreamt of having. He wants us to move out of separate apartments and get a house together, and has said instead of getting him a small Christmas gift that I should fund a trip for him to see Europe. I'm from Italy and have family in Bulgaria, Croatia and the Netherlands, and he is from Canada. Buying the luxury car, it's less whether I can afford it, and more that seems like something you get your husband or wife, and not your boyfriend of 3 years. The house I can understand, if we were engaged or something, but we aren't, though he has talked about marriage several times in the past few months, and finally yes, I can afford a trip for both of us to tour Europe, but whereas it's something I might have thought of for us to do before, he only brought this up after finding out that I do have the money to pay for it. Is this reason enough to break up with him? Now for the top advice before reading the update. Is this reason enough to break up with him? You never, ever need a good reason to break up with someone. I don't think I want to be in a relationship with you is enough. They don't need to be bad people, they just need to be not right for you, and you get to decide what right is. That said, absolutely this is a good reason. You're not an ATM. And the our money thing is a big red flag. It's not our money, it's your money, and if he starts thinking that things belong to you, just because you're dating him, that's a big problem. I don't think I want to be in a relationship with you is enough. I think more people on the sub need to hear this. You don't need an excuse to break up with someone. If you fall out of love, lose interest, etc., it's okay to end a relationship. You're not obligated to stay in it. I think the way he reacted is telling. Asking you to buy him a car is way overboard. If it were me, I probably wouldn't break up with him just for that. I would start with a conversation about money/finances. I would explain that you are looking to keep things separate, and he is in no way entitled to your money. Think about if you truly want a future with someone like him. It sucks that it becomes a problem in relationships. How did he find out about it? We visited my family in Italy who live pretty extravagantly, and he sort of put 2 and 2 together, then asked me what's up, so I told him. I'd drop him for this. It sounds like as soon as he found out you had money, he went into full-on demanding gold digger mode. Yuck. It'd be one thing if you wanted to do these things for him, but he's got no right to demand you lavish your money on him. I'm not convinced he's a gold digger from all this. He just doesn't normally live within his means, and thinks he just earned a free ticket to the next level of lavishness. These two are financially incompatible in how they spend and save money. They simply don't teach financial maturity well enough in schools these days, and the average person carries more debt than their assets are worth. Oh well, find someone else and move on. I wonder how most folks would react to a gender swap here. For all we know, OP already swapped the genders because she/he has been told, this is normal, just expect it before. And now for the update. So, I didn't automatically dump my boyfriend. I decided I'd have a talk with him. I told him that it was basically really damn inappropriate to find out I have money and start making demands. I told him I have no problems using my finances for our relationship, but that he shouldn't automatically expect that I'm going to put out money on very expensive things for him, just because. He seemed very ashamed and agreed that it was a really crappy thing to do, and he got carried away and a bit too excited. I told him I understood, but to do that was very disrespectful to me and the time we've shared together, because it made me feel like all of a sudden my money is what mattered. For a little while, it seemed all was well, then the other day we were having a minor argument over something that turned into a bigger argument, and he said something along the lines of, well, you don't even want to use what you have for us, so maybe you've never freaking cared about me. He got really quiet, as though he knew that was a crappy thing to say, and we didn't talk until 2 days later. I was really angry. I was going to talk things through with him. However, this came the relationship fatality. He told a couple people we're good with, despite me asking him to keep the money quiet, that I was really rich and could afford tons of crap. How did I find out? Saturday we all went drinking together. He gets a bit too much in his system and orders an expensive bottle of wine. One of our friends was like, who orders that stuff? We're good with our beers and that's too expensive. Our other friend piped up and was like, No, it's good. OP is really rich, she can pick up our tab tonight. Cue several other people who I've never told about my family's money, suddenly grilling me on why I never trusted them enough to tell them about my money, and oh, thought we were friends, that kind of thing. I broke up with him the next day. He's been blowing up my phone all day, but screw him, I could have moved past what he said the other day when we were arguing. But to tell people I specifically asked him not to, something I trusted him so much with. Yeah, I've lost a 3-year relationship and am probably going to lose a few friends as well. Edit, for everyone asking, the bottle was 460. Now for some comments. Wow. Money sure does bring out people's true colors. Whatever your reasons for keeping your money quiet, his reaction was entirely not cool. If you had married him and never told him about it and you were watching him struggle financially, okay, sure, I can see how that would be a breach of trust. But this? Good grief. Sorry OP, but it does look like he showed his true colors and you avoided a life of being mooched off of. One of the reasons to keep quiet about money is that, once you have it, there is always some loser who thinks they can hit you up for something. They'd never work 2 jobs to get what they wanted, but happily lay a guilt trip on you for not being a good friend. If you cannot be my friend when I have a 6-pack in the fridge and a hot pizza delivered, screw off. I am really amazed he openly said that to your friends after your talk. I don't understand how he couldn't know that telling anyone would screw his relationship with you. He kept his imbecility well hidden for 3 years. I think he probably told them before we had that talk, because he did know before my last post. The easiest way to answer your friends, who don't really sound like friends, sorry about that, is to simply say, ex-boyfriend was mistaken. My family has money. I do not. If they ask for expensive loans or whatever, you just say it's not in your budget. Talk about your budget enough and they'll get the hint. Oh, I saw this new Michael Kors purse / amazing 3D printer / rare book. Wish I could have it, but it's not in my budget. All perfectly true. You set yourself a budget to live within, even if it's well below your means. Or get friends who understand that concept. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not disclosing family wealth to my boyfriend? Let me make this clear up front. I, 25 female, am not wealthy. My family, that is, my parents and grandparents are. As an only child, one day I will inherit a good portion of monetary assets, but today isn't that day. Today I'm just a registered nurse, who makes around $40,000 a year because I am just starting out in my chosen career. I live in a flat which I pay for myself each month, I drive a second-hand car because it works just fine, I pay all my own bills, and I don't take extravagant trips or anything like that. I love my life, I worked hard to get this far. My parents didn't even pay for college because they wanted me to succeed on my own. I've been dating my boyfriend for just over a year, we became serious about 6 months ago. So, this weekend when my family had a get-together at my parents' house which is 3 hours south of where we live, I felt it was a perfect opportunity for him to get to know them and vice versa. Everything initially seemed great, until we went to bed on Saturday night in the guest house that's on my parents' property. And his attitude did a complete 180. He seemed really angry, so I asked him what was wrong, and he started accusing me of lying to him about myself. In his mind, I essentially lied about who I am as a person. I told him I never lied. I've told you all about my childhood, we did normal family things like camping. It's not my money, so it's not a part of who I am, it's my parents' money. He started accusing me of hiding other things that I haven't, so I told him he was being a complete a-hole about this and judgmental. He even accused my parents of flaunting their money, when they had been nothing but polite and genuinely nice, offering to connect him with contacts for mentorship for his business he runs out of his apartment. We've been home for a week now, and he won't let it go. He thinks I'm the a-hole obviously, and I am starting to wonder. I haven't discussed this with family, as I don't want them to have a sour any potential relationships. But my best friend thinks he's overreacting because he didn't grow up with money, and his life experiences are clouding his views of just seeing my parents as people. Please help me Reddit, I need an unbiased opinion here. Edit, since everyone is wondering about what type of wealth we are talking about. My family lives outside of Santa Rosa, California. Yes, they have a gate to get to their property, but the gate is shared with the other houses that turn off the main road that goes up the mountain. The median household income is around $65–75K. My parents own several, 5 or 6, I don't keep track, hotels. No, we aren't the Hiltons by any means. He knew what city I grew up around, and that we lived outside the city. No, I didn't spend my childhood jet-setting, and my parents always made it very clear that it was their money that they worked for. My mom is a nurse as well. When he asked, I told him, my mom is a nurse and my dad owns a few businesses. Also, inheritance is never a guarantee. The economy could fall tomorrow and they could lose everything. Edit 2, because it's come up a few times now, in order to avoid answering the same question over and over. No, I've never ever borrowed money from him. When we go out on dates, we either go Dutch or alternate paying. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, but take this red flag. I definitely agree with not the a-hole and her boyfriend is a total a-hole. But, I do think maybe she should have given him a heads up before they showed up at the mansion, that her family was rich. I'd be super thrown off. Not that this guy deserves that because he's an A, but maybe future boyfriends, because obviously she should dump him, should have a brief heads up. Not the a-hole. You were right not to disclose your parents' wealth, as it is none of his business. He has some real issues with them having money. The fact he can't let go is a real red flag. I think it would have been fair to give a heads up to the boyfriend before visiting them though. Someone coming from low income or even middle class household might be intimidated when surprised with something like this. I sure as hell would like to know before going over and meeting my in-laws. Even if it's not my significant other's money or will never be. His reaction was still over the top and rude. Everyone sucks here. Not the a-hole. You sound like a good egg. My compliments to both you and your parents. I would carefully consider your boyfriend's reactions. If he can't let this go, you may need to let him go. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole? I said, not my problem to my ex's mom, when she implied he is dying. My ex and I broke up 3 years ago. To be honest, the severance of the relationship wasn't amicable. We tried communicating a few months after, 'cause they said that's what adults do. But I realized he wasn't in a good place, so I went no contact from then on. He was diagnosed with a brain tumor, so everyone, his friends and family mostly, thought the breakup wouldn't push through, kind of how some make a baby to save the marriage, I suppose? But there were just so many underlying issues in our relationship that a sympathy over a tumor can't fix. So yes, 3 years ago, I am the a-hole because at the height of the surgery, the post-surgery treatment, and the therapy, I still broke up with him. I am the a-hole because I didn't want my life saddled with the biggest man-child I ever met. Tumor aside, this was one of my chief issues with him. So fast forward to today, I received a message from his mother. It started with the usual how are yous and how's everyone. Then came the request. Since we're still friends on Facebook, she kept seeing all my posts about the traveling, the motorcycle rides, the quaint restos, the art workshops, basically me just having a life. The mother is asking if I'd be so kind as to bring his son, my ex, along on these adventures, because she fears he hasn't long to live, and that she wants his son's life to have some color again. This won't fly because, A, I have a fiancé. I'm pretty sure the idea won't sit well with him that there will now be a third person in our little adventures. B, just thinking of the setup that I have to pick up my ex, bring him along, pay for his food, then take him back to his place, is a nightmare that I don't want to revisit. So, I told his mother, sorry but no, and just stated reason A, and that I wanted to respect my fiancé. The mother tried insisting, and even asked if I didn't care if her son has become an invalid and can't do much. He now walks with a cane, and apparently needs help constantly. So, for the third time in this post, I might be the a-hole because I gave another firm no. Told her it wasn't my obligation, nor my problem, to fulfill anything that's lacking in his son's life. Now I'm getting messages from his family, how I'm such a selfish witch that couldn't spare a bit for a dying person. Am I the a-hole? Edit 1. Okay, whoa, I am overwhelmed with all of your responses. Thank you very much. Since many of you are asking about why I was even asked by the mom. When we were still together, I usually paid for things because of the disparity in our income. I'm really awkward about money, and my dad used to tell me that I have to be understanding with matters like that. Example, on dinner dates, I can't expect a person to go Dutch when they obviously can't afford their half. I guess he and his family got used to the idea too much, and yes, maybe I let them at some point. I resented the fact that they seemed to have a thing for fancy stuff. Like the mom was asking for an insanely expensive bag for her birthday, one that I never even dreamed of owning. I said no to that, by the way. To summarize, perhaps because I have, and shown, the capacity to provide, and also the means to move. He would always want that I drive him around, pick him up from his house, and when the date's over, drop him off. I can only assume they don't have anyone within their circle who can provide such convenience. Edit 2, I'm not really 100% sure if he's already dying, since the mom has a flair for the dramatic. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. His own mom and family can take him on these adventures if she's so concerned about it. Exactly, you shouldn't feel bad for living your own life and moving on from your ex. His mother and all the family could divide costs so they can take him on these types of trips. It isn't up to you to do that. Not the a-hole. Y'all broke up, you moved on with your life. You don't owe them anything, and it would be weird if he was there. The mom is the a-hole for trying to guilt trip you. It's a lot of money and time to do those kinds of trips. For her to expect you to be okay with it is kind of crazy. She could always take him out. Does he not have any other friends to do stuff with? Family? It's not your responsibility to make sure he lives his life. I think it's because they know I'm financially more capable than them. When we were still together, I was the one who usually paid for dinners, movies, out-of-the-country trips, etc. I also had to drive him around then, since he didn't have a car and disliked public transportation. I think that's what the mom is missing, since they can't do those things themselves. But yes, you are right. It takes a lot of money and time. In fact, we used to fight a lot about it. I hated the pressure they gave me then, just because I made a lot more. Not the a-hole. His misfortune is not your responsibility. You've moved on with your life and he and his family obviously couldn't get over that. Sure, that really sucks for him and his family, but like you said, it's really not your problem. Info: how long were y'all together? 3 years. Then a few months after that was sort of ambiguous because of the tumor news. And that's it for this video, guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day, everyone.